Okay, we're back with you here on Gridiron for This and That. And we're going to talk about three football teams, Shenango, Laurel, and Neshannock. And first off, Larry, 7 out of our 8 teams in the county have played two games. One team has played one. That one team that's played one is Union. Now, through 2 games, you're out of 10, so you're 20% of the way through the season. Is it too early to panic on the season? Remember, these 2 games, they're non-conference. If you win, they're not going to put you in the playoffs. If you lose, they're not going to prevent you from going to the playoffs. Is it too early in the season to panic?
Yeah, it's too early to panic. Laurel lost their first 4 games last year and came back and had a playoff season. When I coached high school baseball at Shenango High School, we started the season 2-2, had just gotten beaten by Mars 20-8, and then won 21 games in a row and were WPIAL champs. So it is too early to panic. It's not too early to make adjustments. It's not too early to try to, get better and fix what's broken. But it is too early to panic. 2 games in, not enough to start waving a white towel. Not this early in the season.
Okay, so let me ask it another way and see if you stick to that same answer. The first week, Shenango loses to New Brighton 20-7. Shenango has 4 first downs and 99 yards of total offense, and again, 7 total points. Last week, in a 21-0 loss to Elwood City, Shenango has 2 first downs, one of which coming by way of penalty, and 47 yards of total offense. So they have 146 yards, if my math is right, total in 2 games, and 6 first downs, one of which by penalty. The offense hasn't done a whole lot. And if you remember, week 1, it was the low 80s. We had a lot of cramping issues for teams all around the county, so good conditions. Last week, it was upper 60s, extreme upper 60s. Clear conditions. There was no precipitation. It wasn't like it was the Meadowlands around the county, 40-mile-an-hour winds and hot dog wrappers blowing all over the place. Clear conditions. So again, knowing what you know about the offense and the numbers that they've put up, are you sticking with the too early to panic?
Yeah, it's still too early to panic. It's my understanding that Shenango's playing with 25 players.
Yep.
It's also my understanding that they lost a bunch of upperclassmen, including their quarterbacks, Sam Patton, who was a tremendous athlete and player. They're probably playing with a lot of young guys. Jimmy Graham knows how to coach. He can coach them up. He knows what he's doing. But freshmen and sophomores don't beat juniors and seniors at the high school level. Now, as the season progresses, freshmen and sophomores and those who have not had a lot of varsity experience will get better. And so therefore, too early to panic. You have to incrementally get better week in and week out. And that might not even result in victory, but the games will be more competitive. Listen, I've been there. I've been there. We've all been there if you've coached, where you really are struggling early on. And, as the season goes on, your lessons that you're teaching and preaching become more effective. The players get more experienced. They're not making the same inexperienced mistakes, and good things can happen. Too early to panic. And Shenango played 2 good teams. Elwood City's a good football team, and I think New Brighton last week, they're a good football team. So, let's give it time.
Okay. I don't want to overreact, but maybe you'll think I am overreacting in this.
It wouldn't be the first time you overreacted, but go ahead.
All right. Let's start it out this way. When the NFL schedule comes out, a popular thing for fan bases is they look at the schedule and they try to determine which game that their team will win, which game that their team will lose. They play the quote unquote schedule game. They look at it and say, there's a win, that's a loss, loss, loss. Okay, Larry, is it overreacting by saying Laurel is 2-0 right now? October 24th, they have a home game, season finale against Neshannock. Laurel will be 9-0 going into that game because Friday at Riverside, win. Next week at Bishop Canavan, win. Home to Rochester on the 19th, win. The 26th at Northgate, win. The 3rd, Summit Academy, win. The 10th at Shenango, win. The 17th, this is where if it's going to happen, if they're going to drop one, Southside Beaver at home. Southside's usually pretty good. I don't see any losses. I'm calling my shot. 9-0, Laurel hosting Neshannock in the season finale. Now I'll transition over. Let's do another one because this is fun for me.
Go ahead.
All right, Neshannock is going to be 8-1 going into that Laurel game because at Elwood, win. At Rochester, win, although that could be tricky.
Let me tell you something. Rochester plays good football. You got a short memory, my friend. Rochester for years and years was the class of 1A or 2A or whatever they played. And Bishop Canavan, that's a Pittsburgh AAU team. You don't know what kind of a recruiting year they had last year. So they could be coming in with a team that's better than the Steelers. Don't count your chickens, Ronnie, before they hatch. But go ahead. I'm going to let you continue here.
I'm hitching my wagons, Larry. That's what
Go ahead.
All right. Then we got Northgate, win. At Shenango, win. Home to Burgettstown. That could be dicey because I don't know if either one of us knows what Burgettstown has. That's a non-conference game. Then home to Southside again. That could be a tricky one because if I call it tricky for Laurel, I'll call it tricky for Neshannock. Southside's generally pretty good. At Summit Academy prepares Neshannock for that road trip against Laurel. I've got 9-0 Laurel hosting 8-1 Neshannock. I'm calling my shot Tuesday, September 2nd at 8:30 p.m.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I can agree with that. You got to play the games. Weather can affect the outcome of a game. Injuries can affect the outcome. Turnovers can affect the outcome. Officiating could affect the outcome of these games. However, I will say this. These are two good football teams. This Laurel football team, I know they've only played 2 games, but they appear to be really good. You know, last week they beat Mohawk 36-6, and nobody saw that coming. And what I like most about Laurel is the balance in their offense. Luco Santini, he threw for 113 yards through the air, and the team ran the ball for 143 yards. That kind of balance is pretty tough to defend. And this Colton Carlson seems like a stud. Caught another 35-yard touchdown pass. And they have a kid, and I hope I pronounce his last name properly. Tony, is it Getz? Geiwitz?
Geiwitz.
Tony Geiwitz kicked a 39-yard field goal last week and intercepted 2 passes. That kind of balance is hard to beat. And, of course, Neshannock, we've already talked about Gino Mazzocca. He's the real deal. You add to that Anthony Eakin, who ran the ball for 86 yards last year, and then sprinkle in a Flora to that combination, and good things are going to happen. So it could happen, but it's too early for me to start calling 9-0 and 8-1. Little too early, my friend. Not so fast, my friend, would say Lee Corso. Not so fast.
You know, as long as the creek don't rise, at some point in October, we'll revisit this. Hey, maybe if I'm wrong, I'll just tell you, hey, I saw that didn't come to fruition.
It wouldn't be the first time you were wrong. So, but I wrote it down here. I wrote the date down, 9-0, 8-1. I got it down here to remind you as we move forward.
Yeah, a lot of county coaches are saying the same thing too. They're going to say, hey, you're putting us down for a loss against us. You know.
Oh yeah, they may play this back to their team before these games are played. Poniewash, the big shot at the Newcastle News, said we have no chance. I love it when I told you what I did when we played Seton LaSalle, and Mike White said we had no chance to win a game. I told Jan Buda, the athletic director, I said, I want you to call the athletic director from Seton LaSalle tomorrow. He said, why is that? I said, let him know we're coming. He might not think we're showing up. We're going to be there. Tell him. We're going to be there. Tell him we're going to be there. And his team better have their big boy pants on because we're coming to win. So you may be bulletin board fodder for a couple of these coaches, Poniewasz. You may be.
Wouldn't be the first time, I would imagine.
It wouldn't be the first time. No, it would not.
So, all right. That is this and that. We touched on Shenango. We touched on Laurel. We touched on Neshannock. Laurel and Neshannock, boy, they are awfully good football teams. As you mentioned, they're only going to get better, too. As long as they stay healthy, they definitely have great coaching. And it's not just the head coach. They have great coaching staffs that can, put in great schemes on offense, defense, and don't forget special teams either. Laurel ran the opening kickoff of the second half back for a touchdown.
You make a good point. It's not just about the head coach. It isn't. Having been a head coach and been part of many staffs as an assistant, it's an effort of many by many, to get it done. It is. And these teams have really good staffs. So I'm sure that those that participate in the game plan and make decisions during the game are instrumental in the outcome.
Mm-hmm. All right. That is this and that. Come on back. We are going to tell you about the matchups for week 3. We'll do that next here on Gridiron.
We're here with Neshannock High's Gino Mazzacco. Gino is our athlete of the week this week. He had a great game, 42-6 win over Union last Friday. Gino, just talk about that win first off.
It was a great team win to bounce back after the week 0 loss. I mean, tough loss. We came out flat versus Mohawk, but it was good to bounce back and show what we can do.
Longest pass you made was 72 yards on that first play. You were 10 of 13 for 193 yards. Obviously, talk about just how successful those first drives have been for you guys in these first 2 weeks.
Just get the ball out quick and let the playmakers do what they do, and the line just getting people's way.
You had 12 carries for 65 yards. You're great scrambling. Just talk about your field vision.
I like to move around out there and just see what I can do. It opens up our offense.
All right.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other. Be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
We're back with you here on Gridiron. This is the week 3 schedule. All these games are Friday, September 5th, all kicking off at 7 p.m. Newcastle at Highlands. Both teams are 1-1. Red Hurricane coming off a 31-6 road loss to Hopewell, and Highlands coming off a 35-14 loss to Elizabeth Forward, I believe it was last week. Larry, another road test for Newcastle. Your thoughts real quick.
Yeah, Highlands is no slouch. It's hard to win on the road. This is a big bounce back week for the Red Hurricane. It's going to tell us a lot about who they are.
Mm-hmm. Neshannock 1-1 at Elwood 1-1. Both teams, as I mentioned, with wins last week to even their ledger at 1-1. Neshannock with a big 42-6 win over Union, and Elwood City going on the road to beat Shenango 21-0. County pride at stake as it's non-conference.
No, you already called this one, Poniewasz. You called it. They just put a W in the book for Neshannock, but nobody better tell the kids at Elwood City Lincoln High, because listen, that program has been turned around, and this game's going to be closer than what you think it is, even though I think Neshannock does have the edge.
Mm-hmm. Laurel 2-0 at Riverside 1-1. Laurel riding high. They looked like a machine last week. They spotted Mohawk, a quick touchdown on Mohawk's first possession, and that was all the Warriors could get. And Riverside's 1-1, and they outscored, I believe it was Northgate last week, 36-30.
Yeah, Laurel's the real deal. And even though the score was 36-6 last week, that game statistically was closer than the score indicated. It really was. But when you can beat Mohawk 36-6 and you can hold Bobby Fadden down, you've done something. And the Spartans are for real. That's what it looks like.
Shenango 0-2. looking to get some cohesiveness on the offensive side of the ball, move the ball, sustain drives at Mohawk, which is 1-1. Larry, just your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, Shenango got to find a way to control the line of scrimmage. Again, they got out rushed last week, 196-15. You just can't win football games if you're getting dominated at the line of scrimmage. And so, again, Jimmy Graham knows how to coach them up. It's a tall task to play at Mohawk this week, but let's hope Shenango, will play better.
Washington 1-1, coming off a 21-6 loss to Steel Valley a week ago at Union, which we mentioned the Scotties lost 42-6 in their opener last week against Neshannock. This one at Union, it's the home opener for Union.
Washington historically is pretty good, and Steel Valley's pretty good. So, the fact that they played them tough, Union may have their hands full.
Right. Wilmington 1-1 at Northern Bedford, which is 0-2. I believe 0-2. Last week, Northern Bedford lost to Claysburg Kimmel 17-14, if memory serves me correctly. Last week, I remember you saying Hubbard better have their big boy pants on. And see, I know Ohio football, and that was foreign to you, but Hubbard is a very good football program, traditionally winning about 8 or 9 games a year. Last year, they won 5. They lost in the first round of the Ohio High School Athletic Association playoffs to Beloit West Branch, and it wasn't close. It was like 31-6. But Hubbard's really good traditionally, and I kind of thought that I didn't know who would win that game, but I thought it would be a pretty good game.
And it was, and Hubbard did have their big boy pants on. They won 28-21. They pulled it out in the fourth quarter. The aberration in this game was Wilmington ran the ball for 313 yards and held Hubbard to 120 on the ground. I'm here to tell you that in my experience, my old age, that doesn't happen very often. It just doesn't. I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, you win the battle at the line of scrimmage, you win the game. I think, Chase Mitchell-Tree, once again, he ran for 141 yards. That cat's the real deal, and nobody can stop him. I just think Wilmington probably got to get a little more balanced. They only threw 1 pass again last week, 1, and hit it for 39 yards, but that's an aberration. They're a good football team, and they got beat 28-21, and I was looking statistically for a reason why. They didn't really turn it over. They didn't have a lot of penalties. It's just one of those games.
Probably minimal possessions, too, because when you run it that many times, if you're getting tackled in bounds, the clock's just going to keep running. So Wilmington will have less possessions, and I didn't dive too deep to see what Hubbard did passing and rushing and what the disparity was. But as far as Wilmington goes, they were on the march to end the game. Wilmington had possession right around the 15-yard line, 4th down, and Wesley Vaskell scrambled, and he got it inside to 15, but he came up short and turned it over on downs, and Hubbard was able to kill the rest of the clock. Otherwise, they're going in to set up an instance where, are you kicking the extra point and playing for overtime, or are you going for 2 and the win?
Yeah, I mean, the game, again, statistically was close, but Hubbard was a little more balanced. I'm looking at it right now, as I'm looking at it right now, trying to get the Newcastle News app to work. Hubbard ran the ball for 120 yards, but they passed it for 179. So they had a total of 299 total yards. But again, Wilmington had 350. Again, they didn't lose any fumbles. There were no passes intercepted. They only had 4 penalties for 19 yards. That's a winning formula that they had, and I think it's an aberration that they lost. I'd have liked to have seen the game to kind of get a feel for what happened there. But if Wilmington keeps doing it that way, they're going to win a lot of games, Ronnie.
Yeah, that would have been interesting to see how Brandon Fillion would have handled it. I don't know exactly how, quote-unquote, waning moments it was that Wesley Vaskell was stopped and they turned it over on downs, but it was really late in the game. That was their last possession. I know if it's me, I'm just ultra conservative in that regard. I know I have a good kicker. I'm tying the game and playing for overtime. The only way I am going for 2 is if there's all zeros on the clock, because I don't even want to kick the ball off. If you're telling me there's 12 seconds, okay, you kick the ball out of bounds, then they're getting the ball at what, the 35 or 40-yard line, and they get a lucky pass or a stupid penalty, and next thing you know, you're playing for overtime. Oh, nope, game's over. You lost because you gave up a field goal. You know, I just like to play for overtime.
Well, you know, I'm like you. If I'm the home team, if I'm the better team, I'm kicking the extra point and playing for overtime. But if I'm the underdog, I'm going to have the game decided on one play.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm the underdog, if the other team has better personnel, I'm going for two, and I'm going to try. I'm going to have the game settled on one play, because over the course of several plays, the better team probably is going to win. That would be my philosophy on that.
Sure. Larry, we have closed up shop here for week 3. We're starting to get on the move now. We're 3 weeks in now for football. Time's going. Before you know it, it'll be counting. It'll be conference play. Any closing thoughts?
Well, it's an interesting week for a bunch of teams. For Newcastle, it's certainly an interesting week. I think it's a big bounce back week for them. You know, we're going to see Neshannock and Elwood. That game's going to be, I think, closer to what you anticipate, Ronnie. So we'll learn a little bit more about Neshannock this week as to who they are and, you know, what's going on in their program and how good they might be. So, and Laurel, they're the real deal, man. You know, I suspect that they're going to keep rolling. So be an interesting week. Can't wait to chat about it next week, my friend.
Well, before I let you go, don't use your terms, dear boy, because while you say that I don't think it's going to be close, and in all these games that I said win, nowhere did I say mercy rule, seal beating, absolute beatdown. I didn't say if it'd be a win or a 55-point win. So don't twist it too bad.
All right. Okay. You called it though. 9-0, 8-1, man. That'd be a great game. I hope it happens. That'd be a great game, because I can tell you these tri-county rivalries, they're real rivalries. They really, really are. You know, that's good football, man. I miss the old tri-county league. I do.
Yep, absolutely. He's Larry Kelly. I'm Ron Poniewasz. We appreciate you joining us this week. Come on back next week for another edition of Gridiron as we recap the action and look forward to the next week. We'll see you back here next week on Gridiron.
We all know there's an advantage to playing at home, to being the home team. At LGKG, we've been your home team personal injury attorneys for auto accident and workers' compensation cases for over 90 years. We know what works and how to win. We have all the credentials. At LGKG, we don't take every case. We handpick our clients so that we can give you the attention you deserve.
Birthday boy.
Yesterday, I was waiting for a gift from you two. Nothing showed up.